My name is Jane, and I have lived a long time here in the High Weald. This is a story about how we made our fortune through iron. I married Richard, and we lived in Mill Place Furnace until we became rich and moved to this grand house. There were lots of furnaces all around here making cannons for the king. It was a very noisy place to be, with the hammers pounding, people coming and going. Now, making iron is like making a cake. You need the right ingredients in the right amounts. For iron, you need iron ore, wood, and water. The High Weald is just the right place for all these ingredients. My husband was the ironmaster, and he had many people working for him to make the iron. Then there are all the people who work in the furnace, and the forge hammerman, finer, smith, gunner. The waggoners take the iron to sell it. The business grew so quickly thanks to the French. They came over to show us how to make a lot more iron in these special furnaces that we call blast furnaces. A lot of them married local girls and still live around here. A stream was dammed to make a really big pond, a hammer pond. You can still see some today. You need a lot of water to turn that big wheel. And then we built the furnace, and next to it the forge. Into the furnace went iron ore dug from the ground, and charcoal. As the wheel turned, it was connected to some huge bellows 20 strides long, which blew air into the furnace and made flames so big you could see them from 10 miles away. As the molten iron came out, it was set in moulds. Then they reheated it, and another wheel, which was connected to the hammers, beat the iron into shape. The other thing that comes out of the furnace is the cinder, and that looks like lumps of melted rock. We can't do anything with them, so they get just piled outside the furnace. The iron we make is turned into cannons and cannonballs. And as our King Henry is always arguing, that means we have to make a lot of iron. As my dear husband used to say, war is very good for business. These hammers are so loud that people have written from 12 miles away to complain about the noise. I complained once, but then my husband said, every time I hear the hammers, I should feel thankful, as they provided the means for my fine house and fancy clothes. When these furnaces were first used, everyone was so full of excitement about how much more iron they could make, and money, that they cut down trees without thought, all to fuel the mighty appetites of the giant furnaces. The poor people who used to graze their pigs underneath the big old oak tree were always complaining that there was nowhere to take their pigs. And then the clothiers, who make wool cloth, complained that there wasn't enough wood to fire their cauldrons to dye the cloth. And then the king himself became worried because there would be no wood left for his warships. But that has all changed now. Even the greediest ironmaster has finally realised that if you cut all the trees down, eventually there would be none left. They take great care now to coppice it. The woodcutter has to wait 14 years before he can go back and cut the trees again. But this means there is enough wood for everyone. I tell you, wood has become very expensive round here. I've seen the butcher out cutting his own wood because it costs too much to buy. And then there's the case of Richard Hayler's girls, who took 6 cord clean away. My dear husband has had to take account of every tree he owned to make sure that they ended up on his furnace and not on someone else's fire.